welcome to the usual Saturday deck flip through video. So I stumbled across something interesting the other day which I fancied just going back through. I know I've done a video of these previously, but sometimes it's nice to go back through where there's slightly better lighting and you know, the camera's just in a better place generally. And these are this core set deck here. So I went through some 10th edition core set decks, and of course it got me thinking generally about theme decks in core sets at the time. So what was interesting about theme decks then was generally what happened was, if it was a core set theme deck, you got a 40 card deck. If it wasn't a core set, like an expansion set, then it was a 60 card deck. Now there was a period in Magic's history during when they moved over to intro decks. So sometime, when would it be, sort of after round about the time of Shards of Alara, I think, when it happened, the decks went up to like 41 cards. But everything was 41 core sets and expansion sets, and the 41st card was a foil, but it also came with booster packs as well. So it's always fun to look at these little 40 card decks that were part of the core set and were still classified as theme decks. So these are 8th edition ones. So we'll go through these. These also, the inserts were specific to each deck. Like with some of these you would get like one where it's the same insert for all of the decks, and it just lists all 5 decks like the 10th edition did. But these ones are quite nice as well, around this time period where, you know, you had like specific inserts for specific decks, so you get quite a nice sort of extended, you know, how to play, what is a theme deck, you know, the nature of certain stuff to do with Magic, you know, sort of background information that is fun for new players to know about. And so there's the bit about playing the deck. Now I'm assuming the reason why these are 40 card decks was to encourage you to go out and buy more cards to supplement it before you could actually play in FNMs, because for an FNMs they needed 60 card decks. And I did hear stories at the time, particularly during when intro decks went back for everything being 41 decks, of people turning up to FNM without a deck thinking, oh, I'll just buy, obviously I'll buy an intro deck I can play, and it's like, well no, you need 60 cards to play in standard. So anyway, let's have a look through. So our rares are rocks, which is 4 and 2 green, 5/5 creature beast, and you may have rocks deal its combat damage to defending player as though it were blocked, and it's 2 and a green. And at this point I find that often the colour symbols around 8th edition look a little weird in this part. Don't look quite right. I think that was true of the Mirrodin block as well, which was around that time. Also the other rare is Primeval Force, which is 3 green for an 8/8. And when it comes into play you have to sacrifice it unless you sacrifice 3 forests. So moving through, these are in casting cost order, so lower casting cost cards first and go through. So Elvish Pioneer, single green, 1/1. When it comes into play you may put a basic land card from your hand into play tapped. So that's where you're going to get your lands increased to inevitably sacrifice for your Primeval Force at some point. And there are 2 copies of that. Also we have a Giant Growth, single green, gives the target creature +3/+3 until end of turn. And we have a couple of those. So yeah, we're probably going to see 1s and 2s, maybe some 3-ofs in here, but we'll see. Naturalize, 1 and a green, destroy target artifact or enchantment. We have a rampant growth for 1 and a green. Sorcery speed, search your library for a basic land card and then put that card into play tapped, then shuffle your library. And yes, we have 2 of those. Findorn Elder, 2 and a green, 1/1, add 2 green to your mana pool. 1 of those. Lone Wolf's in here, so 2 and a green, 2/2, and you can have Lone Wolf deal its combat damage to defending player as though it weren't blocked, so the rocks did that as well. And we have 2 of those. Also got a Wood Elf, so 2 and a green, 1/1. When it comes into play, search your library for a forest card and put that card into play, then shuffle your library. So another card that's able to fetch forests. And no surprise to see we have a couple of copies of that. This looks nice. This is a wing snare. It's 2 and a green, destroy target creature with flying. There's also lure in here. So 1 and 2 green, all creatures able to block enchanted creature do so. So that you enchant a creature. Just bring those up a little bit. We've also got a Rod of Ruin, which is a 4-drop here. So 3, tap it, Rod of Ruin deals 1 damage to target creature or player. A Hunted Wampus, so if you remember these Hunted Wampus, or these hunted creatures that were kicking around in Magic, usually what happened was they were ridiculously costed to your advantage. So 3 and a green for a 6/6, but there was some sort of downside where they gave your opponent something. So in this case with the Hunted Wampus, it comes into play and each other player may put a creature card from his or her hand into play. Other hunted creatures in Magic throughout history often have things like, you know, they put tokens into play for the opponent, that sort of thing. And as you can see here, we've got 2 of those. So carrying on with our 4-drops, and then Nantuko Discipline, 3 and a green, 2/2, green tap, target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So there's another pump spell here. Got a Spined Worm, which is a vanilla 5/4 for 5. So moving on to our 5-drops, and how many of those do we have? 2. We have a Llanowar Behemoth, 3, 2 green for 4/4. Tap an untapped creature you control. Llanowar Behemoth gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So we've got some pumping going on in the deck as well. So that's what a 5-drop, and that's it. That's so our curve actually tops out with, well, that card and the first ones we looked at, which are the Primeval Force, which is a 5-drop, and then we've got the Rocks, which is a 6-drop. So let's have a look at these forests in 8th edition. Let's see how many copies we get and how many different pieces of artwork. So of course bear in mind it's a 40-card deck, so less land in here, probably about what, 17, 18 land I think in total. Nice artwork. Oh, there's another classic which tends to crop up in core sets. Well, at least that's how it always feels to me. So that's our second piece of artwork. What do we got for our third? Yep, a bit more sort of photorealistic artwork here. Reminds me very much of the sort of stuff that I might see if I was walking on Ashdown Forest, where you get sections of, you know, fairly younger trees, I suppose. Oh, and there's another one as well. Interesting. So yeah, 3 pieces of artwork with very similar, in fact they're all different lines of trees, which is interesting. And probably all of these are not dissimilar to stuff I might see. Yeah, it does very much remind me of Ashdown Forest, actually. So that's the last one. And I've certainly been in places where you get this sort of effect, where you get these clumps. And as you sort of stand there, all nice, neat lines, and at certain times of the day, if you line up right, you can get the sun coming through. And they're so tightly packed together, I mean, this one's got a bit of stuff on the floor, but generally there's like nothing growing underneath the canopy. So there we have it. I hopefully enjoyed that look through one of my older decks. Thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and I will catch you in a future episode.